a scarf. In any case, we're going to start off in just a nice, easy standing position. Maybe walk out your feet a little bit and loosen up the hips. Let your arms just move by your sides. Close your eyes and enjoy some deep breaths in and out through your nose, if possible. Just focusing on the feeling of the movement, something you don't have to think about too much, just releasing and letting go of tension. And then set your feet and come into mountain pose in stillness with your feet under your hips, your shoulders and your ears all lined up with each other. Come back to the feeling of your breath. And if you're feeling congested and like you can't breathe really well in and out through your nose, it's okay to cheat and breathe through your mouth. But sometimes practicing Ujjayi breathing can help with that congestion. So almost imagining that as you breathe in and out through your nose, imagine instead that the breath is coming directly into and out of your throat. As you tone the throat gently, creating an ocean-like sound on your inhales and exhales. From mountain pose, step your feet a little bit wider apart than your hips. And just stretch your arms out away from you like you're trying to push something away, flexing at the wrists and pointing your fingers straight up. Now lengthen the sides of your waist and the sides of your neck, relaxing your shoulders down. Come back to that deep Ujjayi breathing. And take one more big breath from the center of your chest outward, like you're trying to push away anything that is taking up your energy in a non-productive way. And then exhale to relax your arms down beside you. Walk your feet back underneath your hips. And then grab your strap. We'll come into an extended mountain pose holding onto the strap. So start off with your hands just slightly wider than your shoulders, and you can always adjust the width of your hands. We'll breathe in and extend the arms up. And then if you're getting too much pinching feeling in the shoulders, slide your hands a little bit further apart. Deepen your breath, lift your gaze. Shift some weight into your heels. And then on a breath out, lower your hands and lower the strap back in front of you. Shake out the shoulders a little bit. Loosen the grip that you have on the strap. And we're going to take that again. This time, step your feet a little bit wider apart. Kick out your heels slightly for stability. And then maybe inch your hands just a tiny bit closer to one another if you felt like you were getting a good opening before and it wasn't too intense on your shoulders. We'll breathe in and reach the arms up. Lifting the crown of your head dropping the shoulders. You can even make this feel like a little back bend, lifting the center of your chest and sliding your ears back. And keeping the legs firm. Lower your arms down in front of you, still holding the strap. Shake it out. Now keep your feet fairly wide apart. I'm going to take the strap around behind the back, and I'll turn so that you can see a little bit better. So for this one, take your hands out maybe a little bit wider than they were before. So we went in narrow, and now we're going to go out wide. We'll breathe in and lift the center of the chest. Breathe out, bend your knees, and drop into a forward fold. And let your hands just gently rise up over your shoulders. You're not really pulling on the strap here, not creating too much intensity. Letting the strap support the weight of your arms a little bit. Again, firm your legs, pull your belly up, and stand. Take a breath, walking your feet back underneath your hips. Continue to hold on to the strap. We'll use it again in a moment. Find your mountain pose. Find your Ujjayi breathing. Relaxed jaw, relaxed tongue, relaxed face. We'll take that straddle forward fold again. So walk your feet out wider apart, maybe about as wide as your mat. Take your hands out as wide on the strap as you'd like. Maybe if that didn't feel very intense for you before, you can bring them in a little closer to each other. Inhale, open your chest. Exhale, bend your knees, drop into a forward fold. You can even bend your knees so much that your chest is resting on them. Hands gently rise over the shoulders. Shoulder blades hugging onto the back, not overdoing it. Hug in your shins a little bit to stabilize. Inhaling, stand up. Walk your feet back underneath your hips. Drop the strap. Stand in mountain pose. We'll take a lateral stretch now. Bring your legs together, big toes touching, zipping up your inner thighs. Lengthen through the sides of your waist and extend your left arm up beside your left ear. And breathe in and reach for the ceiling. Breathe out, lean to the right, walking your right fingertips down the outside of your right leg. Arch your back a little. Lift your chin a little bit. Lift your heart. Now hug to the middle. Breathe in and straighten up. Breathe out, relax your arm, and let it just swing freely beside you for a moment. Naturally slowing down. And we'll do the side stretch the other way. Extend your right arm up on the inhale. Exhale, lean to your left, walking your left fingertips down the outside of your left leg. Shoulder blades on your back. And sometimes that means sort of pushing into your back body a little bit. Squeeze in, inhale, straighten up. Exhale, drop that arm down, let it swing freely, just out of the shoulder socket. Until your arm just naturally comes into stillness. Taking a more narrow mountain pose, requiring a little bit more focus as you squeeze your legs together, maybe close your eyes. Come back to your breath. Now open your eyes and step your feet apart. And if you're not facing the short end of your mat at the front, go ahead and do that now. We'll breathe in and extend the arms up into mountain pose extended. Breathe out, bring the hands to the heart, bow forward. Bend your legs as much as you want to as you come to Uttanasana. Standing forward fold. Let your arms hang this time, just like ragdoll arms. Relax your head. Keeping your legs strong, put your hands on your shins. Breathe in and lift up just halfway. Stretch your head away from your hips. Breathe out, put your hands on your hips. Breathe in and stand all the way up again. Grab your strap or your scarf or whatever you're using. And if possible, we're going to make it into a loop. Now, if it's not long enough to make a loop, or if your legs are really long and this just doesn't work, you can just leave the strap out of it entirely. But we're going to use this for support in Warrior Two pose. So walk your feet apart wide, and then place the strap underneath your right heel, kicking out your right heel just a little bit wider than your pinky toe. And we're going to take, and I shouldn't have had us step apart quite yet, and bring your feet together. Step your left foot through the strap so that the strap is crossing over the front of your left hip, underneath your right heel. With a nice wide stance, turn your left toes toward the short end of your mat. And then adjust your strap, make it tighter or looser so that it is pushing down at the top of the left thigh bone, rooting the left thigh bone back as you start to bend your left knee, pointing it straight ahead. So again, it's okay if you're not using the prop, but if you are using one, you might notice that it's giving you some support, actually making the pose a little bit easier and helping you to really feel grounded in the top of your left thigh. If this is enough to think about, leave your arms out of it. If you want to, reach your arms out to shoulder level. Tight upper arms, relaxed shoulders. Gaze over your left hand. tension around your neck. And then if your arms are lifted, lower them down, straighten the front leg, and turn your left toes in. So we'll, before we switch sides, walk the feet in a little bit closer together. And then we're going to take a straddle forward bend. If you are using the strap, or if you have a strap that's long enough, we're going to place it on the outsides of the thighs, about mid-thigh, so not too close to the knees or the hips. Make it taut, but not overly tight, and you can adjust the width of your feet. Pushing against the strap. Hold on to your hips. Breathe in, lift your chest. Breathe out, bend forward at your hips, pressing against the strap with your legs, letting your knees bend as much as you want to. Release your hands to the floor and drop your head down. My strap inched up a little bit too high, so I'm going to push it down again. Lifting the head, bend your knees a little more if you want to, and walk your hands up your legs. Come to stand. Bring your feet together. Widen the loop in your strap. And then other side, strap comes underneath the left heel this time. Right toes turn out, so the strap, the right leg is underneath the strap. Right toes turn out toward the short end of your mat. Bend your right knee, tracking it straight ahead over your right second toes. Take the time to really get just right amount of tension. Right thigh bone being rooted down by the strap as you bend your right knee. And don't worry about the arms if you don't want to add them in. Reach them out if you do. Looking gently over your right hand. Coming back to the breath. Getting the hips warm, open. Relax your arms, straighten your front leg, turn your foot in, and walk your feet together again. And step out of the strap. Place it off to the side, not too far away. Step to the short end of your mat. Breathe in, extend your arms up. Breathe out, bow forward, touching your legs or the floor, Uttanasana. And then step back to your hands and knees. Placing your hands well, sink your fingertips into the mat. Shoulders over wrists, and wrists about as wide apart as your outer shoulders. So take a moment to pay attention to your hands and your upper body here. Now tuck your toes under. See if you can get all 10 toes under and stretching. And then just start to tip forward and backward. Opening up the feet. And then dropping back into a child's pose with your arms in front of you for support. Toes still tucked under if you want, or untuck them. Lift your head and come back to your hands and knees. Untuck your toes and squeeze them together if they've been tucked this whole time. And then take your knees back slightly behind your hips. Tip your shoulders forward towards your fingertips. Belly lifted. Head lifted. Lower down through a modified chaturanga all the way to the mat. And then once you're there, separate your feet out as wide apart as your mat. Let your heels fall out. Rest your head on your folded hands underneath or in front of you. Resting in crocodile pose, just let everything drop. And lift your head and bring your elbows underneath your shoulders, coming into Sphinx pose. Walk your feet a little bit closer to one another. And as you draw your shoulders back, pull your rib cage in a little bit. Tailbone long. You can keep your ears over the shoulders, or if it feels good, let your chin gently drop down. Stretch the back of your neck. Lift your head. We'll come into kind of a one-legged frog shape. So take your right knee and bring it out beside your right hip. Your leg is bent at about 90 degrees. You can stay up on your forearms here, but if that feels too crunchy in your lower back, especially on that right side, bring your elbows out and rest your head on your hands. Now slide your right leg back behind your right hip again. And just rock your hips and your legs from side to side a few times. The second side, either up on your elbows or with your head on the floor. Slide your left knee out to the side, right beside your left hip. Get nice and heavy through your legs. Stretching your inner thighs. Getting some external rotation in that hip assisted by the floor. Slide your left leg back behind your left hip again. Rock out your hips. And then maybe let your legs be still and turn your head gently from side to side again. We're going to stay on the ground, but just flip over onto our backs. Have your strap close by if you're using one. Bend your knees. If you still have a loop, you can take it out. And pull your knees in and place the strap across the front of your shins or the front of your ankles. And place your feet back down on the floor. Heels underneath your knees, about a hip's distance apart. Tuck your shoulder blades underneath your back as you hold on to the sides of the strap. We'll come into bridge pose. So arch your lower back off of the floor. Press your feet down and use your strong legs to lift your hips up. Expanding the breath across the shoulders and the chest as you gently pull on that strap, using the resistance from your legs to open the shoulders. And you don't have to have a death grip on that strap either. Just hold firmly enough that your hands don't slip. Keeping your legs strong, your head and shoulders heavy. Lower your hips to the ground. Relax your hands. Take a breath. And we'll repeat that bridge pose. So holding on to the strap if you're using it, plant your feet, tuck your shoulder blades underneath you, keeping the back of your head heavy. Lift your hips. Expanding your breath across the front body. Engaging your hamstrings, engaging your back muscles. your glutes a little bit. If you want to, you could start to curl your chest up towards your shoulders a little bit more actively, taking the back bend up the spine. Keep pressing down into the floor wherever you are touching it as you lower your hips slowly down. Release the strap. Turn your palms up. Now we'll stretch out the backs of the legs. So pull your knees in again and place a strap across the balls of your feet. Extend your legs up toward the ceiling. Again, if you're not using a strap, that's okay. We'll just do a legs up the wall. You could even put your legs on a wall or a couch. Or if you don't have a strap and you don't have anything to rest your legs against, you could just tuck your hands underneath your hips to give your lower back some support in this shape. If you are using the strap, you'll notice it's giving you some support with not a whole lot of effort. Just using the weight of your arms, pressing the strap against your feet to hold your legs up. Bend your knees, lower your feet, place the strap off to the side. Maybe roll out your wrists a little bit. Now, you can either come up to seated by rolling onto your side and using your arms to push yourself up, or if you like to do spinal rolls, if those feel good to you, you can do a couple of spinal rolls. And then arrive upright. We're going to set up for a supported, reclined, bound angle using the strap if you want to. And taking your folded blanket or a bolster and placing it long ways behind you on the mat. We're going to take the strap or scarf around behind the hips, and again, this is optional. not at the lower back, but just at the tops of the hips. We'll take the knees apart and the feet together, and then loop the strap. So it's behind the hips, over the thighs, and underneath the feet. And you want to make sure that the buckle part, if you have a buckle, isn't pressing into you anywhere uncomfortable. Now make the strap fairly taut, but not really, really tight, because you'll need a little bit of space as you recline back. You're sitting right against your folded blanket or bolster, lying back over it. And if you're on a blanket, you can tuck a little bit more of it underneath your neck to give your head some support. And then once you're lying down, if you feel like you need to tighten up that strap, you can. To loosen it, you can. It's holding your feet together and giving some support to your hips. The closer your heels are to the hips, the more intense the stretch will be. So you can adjust that. Just relax, be still, and pay attention. Now to come out of the pose, lift your knees and slide your feet out from the strap if you're using it. And with your knees bent, roll over to your side and just move any props out from behind you. We won't need the strap anymore. You can just leave it where it is. Cross your right thigh over your left thigh. We're going to do a little counter stretch for the outer hips after that big external rotation. Pull both knees in toward you. And then bring your feet down. Uncross your legs. And cross the other leg on top. Thighs touching, so maybe this time it's left over right. Pull your knees in. Send your breath into the stretch. Squeeze your legs together, lower your feet, uncross your legs, and stretch them out onto the ground in front of you. Rest your arms beside you, palms up for Shavasana. Please remain in Shavasana as long as you'd like. Maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, even more if you want to. For when you are ready to come up slowly, starting with a gently deepening breath and some small movements. There's no hurry at all. Thank you and namaste.